Welcome to Sports Trebuchet, Issue 7. We'd like to thank the Meltdowns for the use of their song Cemetery City. They got a new EP dropping in January. I am Marty.
I'm Kyle.
Josh.
Anthony.
And Anthony Nasta is back. We just use his whole name, so if you want to look him up, he has an old MySpace. It's classic. I'm going to take my headphones off now. Welcome back to the show. Nasta?
Yes, I am. I'm really excited. I'm proud to be here again. Thank you, guys.
Proud.
Thank you. Proud to be
We're proud to have you. Nasta's probably going to be a semi-regular on the show, depending on scheduling. But he's just going to be here until he's not.
Or the FCC might actually make a complaint, then I might get booted off.
Because we're getting too big. Too popular.
Too quick.
Yeah. Listen, you need to have
big
breaks.
for our britches.
Yeah, this is your astroturfing. We need a grassroots type of podcast, please. So on the dock today, fuck it, let's just do it as a surprise. I want to jump right in to Josh because Kyle and I were discussing an American soccer player. What was his name?
Timothy Weah.
Timothy Weah. Whose father was
George Weah.
And we were looking at some clips, and turns out he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Really good. But Josh said he had a story that was related to George Weah. So we're going to start with this story.
Yes. So this is a good one. There's probably a bunch. If there's anybody in England that listens to this at any point in time, they may well be aware of the story. But
if you share the fucking show, maybe there would be.
I retweet it on my personal Twitter every time.
But nobody likes you.
I don't see that notification ever.
I mean, why would you though?
Well, it's the...
You're too busy liking it from your own personal profile.
True.
It's Twitter in the UK. That's why we don't get it.
It's Twitter.
Yeah.
It's Twitter.
It's like
water.
It's
water.
It's a different scarf plug that goes in. Anyway, right, here we go. So, George Weah, Liberian international, I believe, right? He was Liberian.
Yes.
He's now president of Liberia.
He is the president of Liberia.
Right. So this is a story. This is November 1996. October it happened, but 9th of November was the fateful day. A man who purported to be Liberian international George Weah in 1996 called Graham Souness, who was then manager of Southampton in the Premier League. He told Weah that he had a player for him on his radar called Ali Dia. And he said he was his cousin. He had played for Paris Saint-Germain, had played 13 times for his country, and was really looking for a chance in the English Premier League. Graham Souness, you got to remember that this is only 20 years ago, and if anything, this just shows the depth in which the internet has changed us as a world. Graham Souness, listening to George Weah, player of the year at one point, major player, took him on his word and brought Ali Dia in. Brought him in on the Friday. He didn't really have time for practice, but put him on the bench on the Saturday because he had no time to do anything. This is George Weah who's gave him the recommendation. Ali Dia shows up, he's well up and running for it. He's like, look Ali, you're on the bench, see what we'll do, alright? Comes on, for Southampton, he played one game wearing the number 33 shirt, came on against Leeds United, it was 1996. He came on for an injured Matt Letizia, who was a pretty big striker at the time. And after 32 minutes, he was substituted himself off of the pitch. It was all a scam. Somebody just called up pretending to be George Weah, probably Ali Dia, pretending to be him, and managed to get a 32-minute runaround in the Premier League.
That is incredible. And
was eventually taken off for being an absolute idiot. Letizia has even been quoted as saying he ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to watch, and the entire bench was in heaps of laughter while Souness was fuming.
That's class.
He was then released by Southampton 2 weeks into his contract, and
so they gave him a go. They tried to trade him up a little bit.
Yeah, he then went and achieved He then went and achieved a Master of Business Administration from San Francisco State University in 2003.
The Ali Dia guy?
Yep, and that's what he's now 53. And his kid is playing for...
Please tell me he's a soccer player.
He is. He's a soccer player for Saint Quentin,
Do you think Southampton would ever?
who's a French team who play in the 4th division in France.
Well, he's got good genes.
Clearly, but there is not going to be many stories in the world of sport
That
that gets a player
absolutely-
that high for that amount of time anywhere, and it was all because someone pretended to be George Weah. And
That's
he got
awesome.
Oh, that is great.
incredible scenes.
George Weah and Ali Dea.
Oh my goodness.
Ali Dea. That's a pretty sweet name too.
It
to be
is.
honest.
ALIDIA.
That's what I was trying to find. I could not. It kept trying to put Ali Death. Is this the dude?
Yeah.
He just looks confused.
Is that the manager of
Oh.
Southampton at the time?
That was Graham Souness at the time, yeah. What a mustache.
Wow.
Damn.
Ali Dea. I'm just making this as a note because I'm including that.
Ali D's.
That's
Um,
great.
that's incredible.
Yeah, that's a good story. That's pretty neat.
Did you want? Josh had mentioned that he wanted a 15-minute segment. I don't know if it needs to be that long, but what
It
was?
could be that
It
long.
might.
Y'all both know, and y'all haven't told me.
Uh-huh.
Y'all gonna fucking try to pull some shit. I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Our listeners can look back a couple of weeks ago and we gave Kyle a real run through the mill on Blake Bortles and the inability that he has at quarterback to throw a ball or really just have any kind of footballing brain. And we gave him
Any kind of footballing.
we gave him a bit of a hard time, and we went through a lot of the teams and was like, okay, where would you, what starting quarterback would you rather have?
Would I take this guy over Bortles?
Right. Yeah.
So, in the spirit of,
I believe that was issue number 3, by the way, of it's called What's Eating Blake Bortles, I believe.
It might be.
nice. So, it's a Christmas season, it's a time for giving, and we're going to give you the same kind of run.
Okay.
Except we're obviously not going to waste time on Dallas or anything like that because you're not too
I don't give a
deep
shit.
into the Cowboys thing, but there's one thing you do give a shit about, and you're very strong in your beliefs, and that's Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
So what we're going to do
Ooh.
today
Yeah.
is we're going to go through every single team, and you've got to say which teams he should be starting for.
Okay, so would I take their current starter over Colin Kaepernick?
Nope. The time is now. You have a choice. Do you put Colin Kaepernick in that starter quarterback position, or do you play the current starter?
Gotcha.
So, Washington Redskins, next
Josh-
week, do you play Josh Johnson, Fleet Elite, or do you play...
Legally. Never sail alone. Fucking cunts.
or do you play Colin Kaepernick next week?
All right, and this is going with purely pulling Colin off the street.
Yeah.
And all right, so it's not,
In your current feelings of how Colin is ready to
okay.
play.
This is interesting.
All right.
Okay.
So let's start with the AFC.
Can I tell you this? We'll start with Josh Johnson.
No, we're not. We're not starting with Josh Johnson
not-
because
this
he's
is his
ways
segment.
down the
Okay,
line.
your segment.
Start with the first team.
We'll start with the first team, and that's the New England Patriots.
Brady.
No, yeah. So you mean to say no? I wouldn't put Colin as a starter.
You either name their starting quarterback or you name Kaepernick.
All right, then Brady. Yeah,
Okay. The Miami Dolphins,
Tannehill.
Yeah.
the Buffalo Bills,
Josh Allen's doing good, man.
He actually is,
Yeah, he's
which
got
is
a lot of
gross.
knowledge.
So
and
is Allen.
I want you to take into account the club, the team too, not just like he
No,
may
if-
win the game next week, but is he the right move when they've just drafted a rookie? You know what I mean? Like they've just drafted Josh Allen, he's the plan
Right.
for now. With the Bills, how long I've seen them for, they could be a different plan.
Yeah, no, I mean and Sam
Peterman's the plan.
and Sam Darnold's going to be next with the Jets, right?
Yes.
So like Sam Darnold, I think
terrible.
he's really not that bad. But do I think Sam Darnold could afford to sit behind somebody? Sure, but in this hypothetical, starting next week, Darnold's better to be in there
So you think that Donald would be a better quarterback for the Jets than Kaepernick?
for next week. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. But just in the bigger picture too. I mean, it's week 16. The Jets aren't doing shit, so you could sit there
No.
and go, "Well, fuck it. He's going to be better next season. Let's start."
Yeah, sure. I mean, if Colin, it's weird too because a rookie having 16 or 15 games under their belt now, however many it is,
They're really not
14.
a rookie anymore.
They're not a
they're
rookie
getting
anymore,
close to being
but
rookie.
I think they you could still benefit, but it'd be signing Colin as a backup. I think that for instance, Josh Allen could really use Kaepernick as a mentor type too.
Right.
So
We're
I'd still
talking
as
get
a
you
starter.
100%. We're talking starter though.
Yeah, for sure.
So no to the
Darnold.
Jets.
Yeah, so the entire AFC East. keep.
Cool.
Stay.
AFC West. I know what you mean. West. Chiefs.
No. No fucking way.
So Mahomes is your boy.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mahomes.
yes.
Chargers.
Rivers, baby.
Yeah.
Broncos.
What's his name? Keenan?
I really like Case Keenum,
Yeah,
but
Case
I think with how they're struggling and what they have going well for them, I think Kaepernick will be a better starter.
Okay.
The receivers are torn up, so if you put Kaepernick in that system and allow them to play off that option at all, Philip Lindsay's already fucking torn it up. I think Kaepernick will be a better start.
Okay. Raiders.
Carr? I mean...
Carr's coming around. That team's a mess, though. Because John Gruden? No.
Cool.
Do you want to put Kaepernick into a mess like that?
Yeah, I
really?
wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
Steelers.
With the Ravens?
No, I'd take
Roethlisberger?
Roethlisberger. Yeah, I'd take Roethlisberger.
Ravens. I suppose
Time
Lamar
out.
Jackson.
If you can't tell, I'm sick, guys, so I'm going to sound a little iffy.
He's just doing
I'm
a
really
James
hanging
Earl
off.
Jones impression.
Yeah, I'm not trying.
Lamar Jackson's been doing good.
I think you've got to call it Lamar Jackson's Ravens now, not Flacco's.
No, yeah. So,
Flacco's looking for a job next year.
Oddly enough, I would probably go Kaepernick over Lamar only if I'm planning for the next season for them to be working in tandem. Whether it be whoever starts the next season, Lamar Jackson could greatly benefit from Kaepernick.
So at this point of the season, after Lamar Jackson has won 4 out of his last 5
He's won a bunch. I think.
and they're in position to make the playoffs, you go and switch him out and put in Kaepernick right now.
Here's where I look at it. So like if
It's a
Lamar,
yes or no question.
then Kaepernick, yes. But let me explain
You
my
put him
answer.
in. You put him in next week.
Yeah, but here's the reason why. So if Lamar, let's say, is at on a scale of 100, right? 70%. He's 70. I just fucked up that whole thing I was just sent it to.
Scott Steiner.
Yeah, he has a 2 2/3 chance. Lamar Jackson, I think, is like 30 or 40% of the way there on his passing, but 90% of the way there on his running. I think Kaepernick could come in and be less on the running, but a lot more on the passing. In terms of just playing against NFL defenses, I think Kaepernick probably gives that offense more versatility than Lamar, and Lamar's really, really fun and really great to watch in that offense. But when he's going to get bottled, which he's going to at some point, he's going to get really bottled.
Okay.
Okay.
Cleveland Browns.
Plus Crabtree and Kaepernick.
They do love each other.
Yeah.
Mayfield, baby.
What do you say, Browns? Fuck, man. I
Come
hate
on, you
so
know
much.
Gunslinger Mayfield's the man.
I'd go Mayfield.
Oh, it's killing him.
God damn it.
The Bengals.
Cap.
Who's their starter now? It's not Dalton
It's
anymore,
Driscoll,
right? It's
isn't it?
Dalton's
Driscoll.
hurt, so
Yeah, it's
Driscoll's the
Driscoll.
man.
My boy,
I'd go Kaepernick.
My
Yeah,
boy in
I
Florida
agree.
Atlantic.
They're already
Florida
pretty much
Atlantic.
spoiled. What?
Or my boy at Florida Atlantic in our
Oh, yeah.
college football season.
Houston Texans.
No, I'd keep Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Colts.
Keep luck.
Keep Luck.
Titans.
Mariota.
Yeah.
Jags.
Oh, please,
Yes,
just give me
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick over Kessler right
Kaepernick.
now.
Yeah. I'll give Cap.
It can't be any worse.
No.
Oh god.
Kessler had 50
Cool.
some odd yards this week.
So we're on to the NFC. Cowboys.
Dak.
Yeah.
Eagles.
Wentz or
Foles.
Foles. I'd pick probably both over.
Foles is back. Foles is going to take him to another Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah, imagine that.
Did they bench Wentz?
No, he's hurt.
Wentz is hurt again.
back.
Oh,
He hurt his
shut
back.
up. I didn't know that.
Foles is the one that
And he
went
won
up
last
the
night.
Rams.
Really?
He beat
Yeah.
the Rams. Dude, watch him go make it to the playoffs, and then he takes
then
like the
he
NFC
screws
Championship
himself
game
through.
or something.
If
Now, you know what?
Foles wins back-to-back Super Bowls,
Or takes him to the NFC
he's fucking
Championship
retired.
He has to beat the Bears
Yeah.
on the way there, and I'll
If
Big
he-
Dick Foles.
so bitter.
game. Hey,
Oh, that'd be
if
tough.
Foles makes it to the NFC Championship game, Wentz is done.
No.
Wentz is not going to be an Eagle.
No, I don't.
How
I
can you
think
go?
he could-
How can you
I think
beat?
you could find someone to buy her. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Your boy, Josh Johnson, Redskins.
Now, honestly,
You did just get a win.
Who's Josh Johnson?
I'd go Josh Johnson.
Redskins.
Are you
It's like the
fucking kidding me?
fourth
You're
quarterback.
you're putting in Josh Johnson over Case Keenum and Lamar Jackson. After the games they've played, you're legitimately doing that. That's where you're going.
I don't think
You like Josh Johnson?
Kaepernick no, I hate him. Honestly, he's a San Diego Fleet quarterback.
He's the AAF.
He was the number one pick in that AAF that we did the league.
He was their number one pick. And he's now with the Redskins.
You're going to start a guy who, 2 weeks ago, when he got signed to come in, to learn his teammates' names, he played Madden.
All right, put Kaepernick.
You just
Put
know he
Kaepernick in.
created a player for himself too and put him at 99 overall.
Yeah. Geraldo Rivera. Yeah, then give me Kaepernick.
Giants.
I'll take Kaepernick. Fuck Eli.
Don't say you really.
Yeah,
I took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think I go Kaepernick there. Seeing as they're not playing for anything, it'd be fun if nothing else.
Sure.
Him and Saquon would be a lot of fun together, and Odell, like all of it.
Rams.
Goff,
Seahawks.
Wilson,
Niners.
Mullins.
Cards.
Who?
Cardinals.
Who the heck?
Rosen.
Rosen's
I
there.
think
Rosen's pretty
Rosen.
solid. He just has a bad team, man.
Bears.
Sorry?
Bears.
Kaepernick. No, I'm just kidding. Trubisky.
Vikes.
Cousins.
Pack.
Rodgers.
Bullshit. Yo, Rodgers is a bum. I can't stand that guy.
Makes this guy the happiest man on the
Yo, he
face
is the
of
most overrated quarterback in NFL history.
Just to set the scene, I'm the one in the Bears jersey, and the man slating Aaron Rodgers is in a Panthers one. That's the level of the dick
Yo,
he is.
yeah.
That's how
Christian
much
McCaffrey,
Rodgers is
baby.
liked.
Christian McCaffrey doesn't play quarterback.
He should.
And give me
Lions.
Stafford over Cap.
Saints.
Breeze.
Panthers.
Kaepernick. Cam
They're really the same quarterback.
They're-
Pretty much.
Except one can throw over 40 yards.
Yeah.
Falcons.
Cam is not.
Ryan.
And finally, the Buccaneers.
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick. I agree with that.
Over Fitz or Jameis.
I'd pick Fitz over
Listen.
Jameis, but Jameis is getting the start still.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Yeah, I'd have Cap
I've
over
honestly
Jameis.
lost track of the books. I
Jameis
didn't even
is
know.
garbage.
What is
I didn't know they
what
were
is
playing.
Jameson's special? What does he like to throw? He instead of throwing Hail
turnovers.
Marys, he likes to throw turnovers and he likes to throw crab legs.
He does like to throw crab legs.
All right,
He also likes
listeners.
to eat those W's.
W's. That's right.
Get on the timeline and tell us if you agree with Kaepernick's agent over here that he should officially be He should be a starting quarterback next week for the Broncos, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Jags, the Redskins, the Giants, and the Bucks. I'm really intrigued to
Dude,
see
we were
if
pretty close.
our
Only-
3 listeners agree. Because
honestly, only the name those teams again.
Broncos, Ravens, Bengals, Jags, Redskins,
Ravens
Giants,
is the hardest one there.
Easily, after winning 4 of the last.
I know, and I
5,
fucking love Lamar Jackson. I
and,
really do.
and they're 8-6 and trying to get into the playoffs. I would never switch out your quarterback at that point.
Well, and the
You don't
Eagles are
have the
good.
same loving relationship as Marty
I
does
don't.
with Kaepernick.
I don't.
You also don't know what good quarterback play looks like. You're a Jackson.
I've never seen one.
It's tough.
All right,
Mark Brunell.
Yes, Mark Brunell.
David Garrard, yeah.
David Garrard was
I'm good. That's all I wanted.
That was your segment?
Yeah, I just
Did
wanted
y'all
to
have
see
a
how you
private
went.
chat when you said, hey, I've set 15 minutes?
Yes, absolutely. I
Yes,
said I
of
wanted
course.
to lay that on you.
I'm just
And-
glad it wasn't penalty talk, to be honest.
Well, that's where I was going to go
I thought-
with the fact that you want the holding calls to be eradicated from the NFL, and I don't know if you wanted to talk about that maybe
No.
at the AAF.
No,
Let's talk about the rule change.
I think we had it twisted. The problem was the complaint on holding is that it's always called on position players, but almost never called on offensive linemen.
Holding?
Yeah.
Holding is always called an offensive line.
No. I mean, like,
When you mean defensive line?
no. When an offensive line is holding, right, they say it happens every play,
Yeah,
right? That's the
yeah.
old saying. And I'm sure it does to an extent. But I don't think people understand what holding is at an offensive line level. And I think it was a conversation I had with Josh where he said every time there's a big play, it seems to be holding and called up against us. Against the Patriots, maybe it was, or something like that. But
Like on a receiver or something like that.
a receiver, tight end, running back, whatever. And usually that's because at that level, it is.
They don't do it very often.
They don't do it often, but also, like, there's more side to side on any of those for the defensive and offensive, where a defensive lineman My nose is stuffed up to shit. Hold on 1 second. This is tough. This is gross, isn't it?
Edit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now I gotta mark 20 minutes. Defenders are moving at a speed and at a horizontal level that allows a hold to happen immediately, because unless you square up 1-to-1 or helmet to or face mask to face mask, either one can tug both ways. So that's where the referee's going to call it more often. An offensive lineman, most of the time there's not as much space to run. That's why you often don't see an offensive guard and center get called for it as much as a tackle, because the more space side to side, the more likely that's going to be called.
Yeah.
Because you have less chance to square up. So like Donald's holds against Aaron Donald, it's going to happen when he's already past the guy.
Yeah.
But on the defensive end side, like when Khalil Mack comes in, it's going to be trickier because the offensive lineman, as a tackle, you can square up and hit him. And if he's already swerving out, the referee will usually take that momentum into account. So when the tackle gets underneath the shoulder pads and he's pulling to the tackle's right, I'm assuming I'm the right tackle in this conversation, it will look like Khalil Mack is getting held back, but he's still doing right. He's moving with the guy and doing his best, but there's a lot of holding calls that I'm sure are like messed up. But that's usually why you see the reason on the second level versus the offensive line level why holding is different. Because like as playing offensive line before, I was awful. So it was either hold or get run over. And I just drag the guy down with me. Oh, I get fucking. I absolutely tripped, and crackback was great. But I had a guy named Johnny McKenzie, who was a linebacker who used to blitz my gap, the B gap, and I never fucking won that battle ever, no matter how squared up I was.
Yeah.
But being taught, that's why you'll see the rip technique for defensive ends or defensive linemen, because that separation allows holding to be called as soon as the hands get put back on you, because usually by then you've moved again. And that's when the offensive lineman's not going to have your pads or your jersey in your pads. When you swatted his arms off, he's going to have just jersey or grasping at nothing, and then holding gets called almost every time. That's a technique.
All right, let's move on.
Oi!
Because I was really just wanting to annoy you.
You didn't.
No, I know you didn't.
What's annoying is my nose. So we're gonna finish with a listener question from Chris in Buffalo. Do you want to go over the other suggestion for the best names in sports?
Yeah. Sure. Nasta, you got any best names in sports?
We can kind of make this will be a shorter episode.
When you say best names, you're talking about like team names?
So
no, players that have just like really cool names.
I have one that sticks out.
So we didn't prep Nasta in this at all. It's not.
I got it. No, I'm good.
I was going to lay out the fucking segment, goddammit.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We're going to do just active players. Every player's part of it, if you want it to be. But the qualifiers, it's up to you, right? It could be a funny name. It can be a name that's like perfect for the position they happen to play. Or it could be just a great name for the sport they play. You know, it's whatever qualifications you want. So like, an example is, and I'll use one of mine just as an example, Colt McCoy is a name for me because it's the most perfect Texas quarterback name of all time. Sure. And like if you put Colt in anything, really, it's going to be a perfect quarterback name just because something about the whole gunslinger bit.
Yeah.
All right. Now I figured that's what it was. How you sent it to me.
Why are you yelling?
Oh, I'm trying to get on. So
trying to shine through.
We have him outside the door. He's not.
Okay, so I'll start. I got one.
All right.
I like his name is actually Rod Smarts, aka
He Hate Me.
He Hate Me. He actually started his career in the XFL, and then actually the Carolina Panthers did sign him. He was a kickoff returner. And then I think he moved to like maybe wide receiver / but his mainly
he's stayed in the league a lot longer than me.
I think he had like a good, four solid years, and he had a couple.
He his way to the Eagles or something like that.
I think so, but his glory days was with the Panthers. I think he returned a couple kickoffs, so punt returns for touchdowns, but. He hate me.
That was also in the era of Dante Hall
Yes.
and Devin Hester,
Yes.
so like he never would have gotten.
No.
Love
He was
it.
overshadowed.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
big time.
Okay, that's what I got for now.
All right, there's one for you, Kyle.
Current player for Tennessee basketball team, Admiral Schofield. That's just a
Admiral's
great
nice.
name.
That's a solid name.
That's a Star Wars name.
It is.
What position does he play?
I want to say, God, I don't even know.
That is a good
Kind of
name.
important.
It's not that important.
How many have you got?
They're really good.
Me, I just have like
It's really
5 or 6 written down.
Okay, I've got 6.
And then I've got like I've got the 2018 Name of the Year bracket that has non-athletes that I just want to giggle over. Honestly.
I've got some great, like, older Syracuse players, like football and basketball, and then some great Big East older players, and yeah.
Mine, one of my favorite, and what made me think of, actually it was Kyle in Texas that suggested this, but it's kind of perfect because I was thinking about it when I was watching Brighton this week. Balogun?
Yep, Balogun, yep.
It's such a fucking killer striker name, or a killer soccer name, but he's a midfielder, right?
Defender.
Fuck, that sucks. Oh, is he a winger at least?
No, centre back.
I don't watch very much. Either way, if for a striker, would Balogun not be fucking just...
Yeah, it'd be solid.
Yeah.
Mkhitaryan is a fun name to say.
Henrik
Mkhitaryan?
Mkhitaryan, yeah.
Yeah.
He's an Armenian, I believe.
I think so.
I thought he was Mkhitaryan.
No.
The land of Mick.
Wrong.
Go ahead and shoot a name, Josh.
Going on Balogun, we'll go for that kind of thing. This is just a fun one. So when you're defending in football, you're marking, right? You're marking someone.
Yeah.
We have he's generally a central defensive midfielder. He plays for Beerbeek in Belgium at the minute, which is like a top flight Belgian team. So he's not a bad player. His name is Mark de Man.
Mark the Man.
Oh, man, that's great.
Which is so representative of what he does every day.
That must be so frustrating for the coach. It's like, God damn it, man, you gotta mark the man. Or if he ever fails.
Yeah,
If he's a failure, that's an upset.
he's a bang average player, I think. So
Oh boy, that sucks. Gotta mark the bench. I had one of my favorites was this year in college football. He was a receiver for Colorado. And his name is Laviscus Chenault. And it's the most powerful. And I think he might be like a 4th too. But it is such a powerful fucking name, Laviscus Chenault. Especially, he was such a badass as a receiver. In the NFL, it's gonna be just. I hope he makes it, and I hope he doesn't. He'll get drafted by the Redskins inevitably. Every player I like does.
And nobody's going to be able to throw to him. It's
Yeah, there's no broken
go to the
legs.
land of Josh Doxson being...
That poor fucker too. I mean, he was great in college, and then he just never. If he was with the Patriots, he's.
He might be later on in his career because
Probably.
it's where all the broken toys go.
That's true.
So, kind of historical Syracuse, they had a center, football center, named Harvey Pennypacker. Back in the
that's a good one.
back in the mid '90s, I loved that name. It was a great name.
He's in Peaky Blinders, isn't he?
May as well be with that name.
Harvey.
He's their bookie.
Pennypacker.
Now you gotta go to Harvey Pennypacker. That's not an English accent at all.
Sounds like something from Red Dead, actually, more than anything. That's a Red Dead name, if that ever
Kinda,
was.
yeah. There's also an offensive lineman who he was an offensive lineman. He also played on the basketball team, which was really weird. And he'd come in for garbage minutes, and he could dunk. He's like 6'6", 300 pounds.
Jesus.
Melvin Tootin.
It's appropriate. He's 300 pounds. too.
Seriously.
What about NASCAR? He's retired. Was a NASCAR racer
I know exactly who he is.
named Dick Trickle.
Yes.
Dick Trickles.
Ah,
The most
a good one.
unfortunate.
Dick Trickle. Oh boy.
There was another one in NASCAR too, wasn't there? There was well, Rusty Wallace is kind of a funny name, but
I've got three offensive language ones and 2 just
Ooh.
great.
So what was that
Which
one?
would
Was
you
Dick
prefer?
Trickle PG?
Dick Trickle's
PG-13.
pretty PG-13. Maybe NC-17.
I'm marking as explicit every time on like Spotify, so we should be good.
Yeah.
What do you want? Do you want just great name or do you want offensive?
Offensive.
It's not really that offensive, but they're fun. We'll go with a more boring one because Kyle was talking about it just earlier, and Kyle's Jags have signed a long snapper, and he may well be a relative of the famous German striker Stefan Kuntz. And there really was no other way to pronounce his name in front of billions watching the World Cup, like maybe 20 years ago.
You had to use your whole name, right? Like almost no doubt.
So what happened was they beat England in the semi-finals or quarterfinals, and there was a lot of wordplay in the fact that we played 11 cunts because his number on his back was also 11.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We played the 11 cunts from Germany. It was pretty commonplace.
There was a.
That's pretty funny, actually.
There was a. He was a track. I think he was a track star in like the early 2000 teens. Here, Kyle, can you say this guy's name real quick?
Mads Negro.
Oh my God, you said it! I can't believe you said it.
Extra.
That was the one, like one of the
Negro.
most offensive names I saw.
Mads Negro, probably.
I mean, look at the beer. Modelo Negro.
Why do you emphasize that word so hard, Nasta?
No, I mean, that's what I drink.
Gross.
Pascal.
So,
Let's see. What else?
Jadeveon Clowney, I thought was an easy one, right? Because like at the time, Jadeveon Clowney was a fucking weird name. I almost said a clown name.
Xavier Adebe. That was a
Xavier
great
Adebe. One of mine was Arkansas Razorback, who was a receiver as well. And his name was Quinta Funderburk.
He ended up going to Syracuse.
Did he?
Yeah.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I forgot all about Funderburk.
Yeah, he went to Syracuse afterwards.
It's too bad.
Yeah, didn't do anything.
Good. That was the next New York Ranger who played defense. A very good defense. I think his last name actually fit his position. Jeff Bookaboom.
That is a fantastic
Let me tell you, he used to bring the hammer.
God,
Man.
we should have named this the Booka Boom podcast. So it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's so good.
That is-
when we play Rocket League. That's what you got to put every time you hit a nice shot. It's Booka Boom.
Baby.
And then, of course, whenever he laid a hit, the whole crowd would book.
That's even better.
There's probably a larger discussion we can have about crowds and like
Anything
one
with a hard ooh.
syllable ooh chants.
Well, Luke, you hear it all the time with Panther.
Luke or like Moose with Daryl Johnson or
with Cooper now it's Coop.
or those racists in Green Bay with that fullback they had.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
What was his name?
Is it John Coon?
John Coons.
It was
Oh,
Coons,
Coons.
yeah. But
Was
they
it
just,
Nance?
so you'd have a bunch of white dudes in
Yeah.
Wisconsin yelling.
Coons.
Yeah,
That's
great.
Wisconsin for you.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, they're surprisingly racist.
In the 90s, there were some great basketball names. I went through the Big East. One of my favorites played for Providence. His name was God Shamgod.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great name.
I saw that.
Inventor of the ShamWow.
Shamwell. There's also some great names that went through Georgetown because they're just great names. Ruben Boomche. Fun. Boubacar Ow.
What about Tim Biaka Batuka?
Oh, Tim Biaka Batuka. That's a great name.
What was the old?
He played for Michigan, right? And then he went to the Panthers? Did he go up to Michigan College?
Yeah.
What was the old running back? Played for the Eagles and Niners, maybe. And he had Fiamata. Was it Fiamata Fala?
Oh, God,
yeah. That's a good
God,
one.
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
This ain't on my list, but there was a Manchester United midfielder in the mid-2000s called Eric Jemba. Which is a great name.
It's just a bunch of dances.
And he was so shit.
Have you not said Eric Devendorf?
Devendorf.
From Bay City, Michigan.
Bay City, Michigan.
One of my favorites for position specific was Kyle might get it. I don't know if Nasta and Josh will, but like Texas Tech quarterbacks have a long history of being like fantastic in college, but kind of nobodies, never making it in the NFL and stuff. One of their guys they have now, his name is Jet Duffy, and Jet Duffy is just an all-time fucking name. And I saw on Twitter suggested that any quarterback from Texas Tech from now on should just change his name to Jet Duffy, so they always have a Jet Duffy at quarterback because it's just the most perfect
I don't
name.
disagree. I would
And instead of Jet Duffy the
requirement.
second, Jet Duffy the third, and just like
That's pretty fun.
it's like a mascot, like Rivoli and
It's like how Syracuse would bestow the number 44 on people.
yeah, but instead you have to legally change your name to Jet Duffy.
Once you become the starting quarterback.
Yeah, middle name
That's
Red
the
Raider.
only way.
But then as soon as you graduate, you revert back to like, oh, it's Thomas Smith. It's like, oh man, the days when Jet, and he's just doing coke. Like, I was a Jet Duffy once.
I've got 4 more. I'm going to go through 2.
Okay.
We have one. He was a Paraguay. I think he was a right back. Played in 1998 and 2002 World Cup. So he was not a bad player at all. His name was Chiquiake. And it was pronounced. It was spelled ARCE, so it was just cheeky ass, which was really nice.
That's funny.
And this one is on your Red Dead Redemption names. He's actually a Brazilian striker. Currently plays for Santa Cruz. He goes by Paulista, but his actual real name is Credence Clearwater Couto.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
He's a Brazilian?
He's a Brazilian striker.
The one record that floated off in the ocean and landed on the coast, and they decided to name it fucking...
Credence Clearwater Couto.
Do you know that's a band?
No.
Creedence Clearwater Revival is a band.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
They had a
it's
couple
not...
classics.
I mean, they have classics, but like it's still really weird to name a kid.
It's a random name.
Last one I'm going to end with is a former old Syracuse player in the early 2000s for football. He's a running back. Did some returning as well. Kirby Dardar.
Kirby Dardar's nice.
Kirby Dardar.
It's a good name.
Dardar down the middle. Dardar out wide.
And let's not forget
Dardar's in motion.
the all-time name in NFL history, Dick Butkus.
That's
Dick
what?
Butkus is a good one.
Can't forget that.
Yeah, that's extremely tough to beat.
It really is.
Might be.
Oh, I've got one. Believe me, there ain't going to be many beat this one.
Let's hear this one.
Let's go.
I'm saving it for last.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got 2 more, and I'm gonna do that one.
So I had 2 more, and then I have a list of the 2018 Name of the Year tournament, and we'll just kind of do that at the end if you want, bookend it, because they're not all sports players.
We can just
And it's
alternate on
just so
stupid
unfortunate.
shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go.
One was a cornerback for the Cincinnati football team, Cincinnati Bearcat football team, Leviticus Payne. Then there was a Texas swimmer, University of Texas. This is a deep dig. His name was Rexachiles Imperial. Rexachiles Imperial.
I was happy with the first 2. Then when you whipped out the third name, was just even better.
Rexachiles Imperial, I feel like, is either the worst beer. You know what? It sounds like a shitty, like, 3rd-tier Mexican team, like soccer team.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's I can't even say it. Rexachiles Imperial Football Club.
It's like one of those ones where you start Football Manager as unemployed with no experience.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that will take you.
You have to also be the water boy and the manager.
like,
There's not enough budget.
Yeah, get a
How
job.
about the Louisville quarterback, Juwan Puma Pass?
Joan Puma Pass.
That's a good one.
Puma Pass.
Not great
Puma
passes.
Pass.
He's not that great quarterback.
I had one that, this is just a fucking great name. He played for Swindon in the early 2000s, played for Kilmarnock as well. Scottish team. He was actually Swindon's Player of the Year when he kept them up, and they kept a pretty good record of clean sheets as well. He was an Australian lad, Danny Invincible.
Danny Invincible?
Yeah. Truly.
It's almost too perfect. If that name was in a movie, and as soon as they introduce themselves, you're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
It's just too dumb.
Oh, well, then Isaac Success.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Success
right.
is pretty solid as well.
And it just sets... Like, you gotta change that last name.
You better be
So much
really
expectation.
fucking
Well, you
good.
better be really good, yeah.
And oddly enough, the best soccer player in the world's last name is Messi. So, like, what do you
Right.
say? So some of the names...
One more. Let me do one more.
yeah,
Let me
do
do my
yours, do
finale. This one, he was a centre midfielder in the 70s and the 80s. He had a pretty long career, but I didn't get a lot of teams that he played for because Wikipedia was a bit shit for it. This lad just blew me away. His name is Wayne Wanklin.
Wankster.
If you were called Wayne Wanklin in 2018 trying to play a sport, you'd be fucked.
Or
I don't
the
know how he
biggest story.
survived.
Because they just do a feature on you before every game.
Every single game.
He's overcome this horrible name. His teachers made fun of him.
Wayne Wanklin.
I've got at least
If you ever
5
want to be a
names.
guest, Wayne, reach out to us. We'll be more
Yeah,
than
get on
happy
the
to have you.
get on the Together BHA podcast.
No, here. Bring him on the Trebuchet.
So in the 2018 Name of the Year tournament, they do it every year. It's something you and I dug up back in like 07, 08?
Very possible.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe it was me and Kyle from Texas. I can't remember. But these are not all sports athletes. Some of them are just like random people that are like bankers that people found on LinkedIn.
Non-sports athletes?
Yeah, non-sports. Yeah, they're athletes off the field.
Mental athletes.
They're mental athletes.
Mathletes. They're mathletes.
Tell me when to stop. I'm just going to start going through some of these. Chosen Roach.
Oof. It's rough.
Chardonnay Beaver.
Good one.
Oh shit!
Wasn't that in your vows when you were getting married, Nasta?
Hey, a little Chardonnay, baby.
Through heart, sickness through hell. Your
Chardonnay leads you
Beaver.
to the beaver.
There it is.
We got Reverend Dongo Pee-wee.
Okay.
A devoid couch.
What?
Devoid couch.
You're just...
I'm not making
You're just
up names.
naming
These are
things.
real names. Six-toe cancel. Bo Titsworth, which I think is a sleeper, one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Titsworth is.
That's a Red Dead Redemption name.
There's
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of, this guy's named after Captain America's buddies in the first movie. Bucky Warboys,
Oh no.
Shaka Licorice, Genuine Pots, Clinton Bacon. This is a doctor, I think he was in Africa when I looked it up, because that's the only one I fact-checked. Or, I mean, they fact-checked it on there, but it's the only one I clicked the link on. His name is Dr. Norwal's Mating. So he's Dr. Mating, but his first name is Norwal's. Narwhals.
Yeah.
So he's Dr. Norwal's Mating.
Good for him.
No
That's
doubt.
nice.
There's Candida Seasock, Maverick Buffo, Christine Plentyhoops. You'd hang out with Pennypacker. Salami Blessing.
That's my favorite kind of blessing.
There's.
That is a good one. You do love it.
You know what? I wish I knew.
You know how
I wish I
Kyle
knew.
used to eat those heroes all the time? It was always salami.
They just take like the giant salami like.
That's what they call it if you don't get heartburn after eating like a Philly cheesesteak. It's fucking.
That's a salami blessing. That's
There's
awesome.
early Charlemagne. Did I already say that?
No.
You said Chardonnay.
Tuna Altoona.
Is that the quarterback from friggin' Alabama?
No, that's Tua Tagovailoa.
Go ahead.
Tua Tagovailoa, but that's
Tuna.
Very good
Yeah.
Close enough.
That's his cousin.
That's him. Get him on the shed. Tuna.
Habakkuk Baldonado. First name Most High, last name Thank God. Jim Bob Ghost Keeper.
Why did we not?
Jim Bob Cooter.
Why did we not say Jim Bob Cooter?
Oh shit, that's right.
That's an easy one. This is a
Low-hanging
shitty coach.
fruit.
Cavadonga del Busta Naval.
What?
Damn.
Blossom Albuquerque. Oh, is there Babacar Fatty?
Should we move on to our main event of the evening?
Yes, I got one more.
You better make it
Dr. Mega Panda.
That's alright.
Megha. Dr.
Mega Panda.
There's Corky Boozy too.
Honestly,
All right.
I'd travel a long way out of my way to go see Dr. Mega Panda.
That's
instead
true.
of a regular one.
Yeah.
He only
I don't like
prescribes
regular,
bamboo.
but Dr. Regular.
You just die from bamboo
Just
poisoning.
randomly falls off his chair at times. It looks cute.
He's on a little rolling chair and just like constantly just teetering off the side of it. So we had from Chris in Buffalo a submission. I'm just going to read it verbatim and then kind of expand on it a little bit. He said, I'd like to hear about the notion of fixed outcomes in sports due to betting, big business, and popular opinion. There's history to support it happening in the past, but I'd like your take on it and whether it's good or bad for the sport in general. So Chris wasn't specific with the sport, but I think all sport could probably be included because it probably applies to every single one. If nothing else, in pure, it's rigged, whatever. The common
well, shit, one of the biggest conspiracies out there from the mid '80s was in basketball. New York Knicks. Knicks had gotten the Knicks were in line to get a top pick because they were in the lot. Well, they didn't make the playoffs, so they were going to be thrown into the lottery. When the NBA does the draft, Josh, everybody has different odds of getting the first pick. It doesn't automatically go to the worst team in the league.
To prevent people from doing that.
So
to prevent like tanking and
yeah. So it goes into a lottery. So the Knicks were in line to be one of the 13 teams that could get the first spot, and that's a big market team. One of the huge market team, obviously.
Yeah.
But the star player that was coming out that year was Patrick Ewing.
That was it.
So there's a theory and a conspiracy that before they put the balls into the big tumbler, they refrigerated the balls that were New York Knicks. So when the guy reached in there to get the ball, he would know which ones were Knicks balls. So he could pull that out and they could be the number one pick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they would.
So they could get that big guy, put him in the big market.
As soon as they touched a real cold one,
they could
then
pull.
and
you know what?
it would be a Knicks.
When he grabbed that cold Knicks ball, it shriveled up.
Oh, God.
Didn't it have already? I was going to make a Knicks ball joke.
No, but I will say this: what Kyle is saying, it changed the landscape of the New York Knicks until Patrick Ewing pretty much retired, and since then, the Knicks have been shit.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Trash.
They were consistently a playoff team every year.
Making it to the finals.
I mean, if it wasn't for the Michael Jordan Bulls, the Knicks maybe would have had at least one, I'd say, ring, maybe two.
Definitely possible.
But yeah, it changed the outcome. You know, people talk about the Knicks. They don't talk about the Knicks now. They talk about the Knicks late '80s, '90 Knicks.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Yep. That's a big time.
So on that thing though, do you think that's good? Like if I'm the league, do I want my biggest market team to have the best player? Yes.
In the spirit of fair play, obviously I don't like it.
Right, nobody I don't think would.
But, it's always that old adage of the league is better when the Lakers are good, when the Knicks are good, when the Bulls are good. The NFL is better when the Cowboys are good. And now the Patriots. Which it gives somebody to hate.
The only thing would have been wrong if let's say Patrick Ewing went to
Denver.
He would have been there for a couple years. He would have been traded, or
he would have left in free agency.
Or he would have left in free agency to the Knicks, the Lakers.
But free agency wasn't as.
I guess you know what, you're right. Maybe it wasn't.
A lot of people weren't leaving teams though.
True.
They also had 8 rounds of draft.
So maybe So maybe you are right.
But everyone also says and I'm guilty of it too. It's okay, college football would be better if USC was just good again. And Michigan being good,
and Miami Hurricanes being good,
and the Hurricanes, which is never going to happen because
I love the Canes, baby.
Trash.
You see that they have a higher ranked class of decommits than they do of commits right now.
One of those guy that Syracuse he originally committed to Syracuse, decommitted, committed to Miami, and then 2 weeks later decommitted from Miami, went back to
Well, look at the backup quarterback for West Virginia. They're backing up Will Greer. He's in Miami.
Yeah.
He's a Hurricane decommitted. Yeah, something wrong.
But so in the name of parity, it's better if good teams traditionally are still good, because I think that's how seasons like Leicester or when Clemson was on the come up, or the Eagles even winning, kind of makes it more special when it's not your normal dominant teams.
Yeah.
But
also I want parity, right? But if truly every year 32 teams in the NFL, if every one of them had an actual chance, would it feel as special? I mean, it's still going to feel special, right? It's a championship.
Yeah.
But you're not, if everyone's on an equal playing field and you don't feel like it's the almighty Patriots or the almighty Steelers organization or whatever, and you're just running through and it's cool, the Bears win the Super Bowl, let's say, right? And they play the Cardinals, the Giants,
The Lions.
And the Lions.
In the playoffs.
And then they beat like the Chargers in the Super Bowl.
Or they play,
It would be looked at differently than if they beat like the Rams, the Breezes Saints.
Look at the Giants that year. They went into Green Bay, right? They went to Green Bay and beat Aaron Rodgers. And then who else? They had three, and they had to do the wild card.
They beat the Cowboys. They lost to them twice that year.
Yeah, they beat the Cowboys. They beat Green Bay. I don't know who else they beat, but then they went on to beat the whatchamacallit?
The undefeated Patriots.
Yeah.
So
that was like a big time.
So what do you give more weight to? If I don't know. I guess we're getting off topic on the conversation,
okay.
but like
I think this is going more down the lines of should we be more.
Maybe we'll talk about that maybe on the
distribution,
next segment.
That's definitely more an American thing. The idea of like making it a much fairer, like in the English league, in Italian, German, Spanish, like there's no parity. Like the top teams get paid more money, the top teams get more sponsorship, the top teams are the top teams, and they're never going to change. So like,
it's kind of weird about it, right? Because like if Brighton finished 8th, you'd be fucking ecstatic,
over the moon.
But if you tell an NFL fan there's more teams, so let's say you say like I guarantee you'll be the 10th best team in the league.
Yeah, they go.
Well, how about this?
Yeah.
Not to change subjects, because I think we should talk about that maybe.
Yes, another podcast.
But I say with Chris's, and I'm sure you're all going to agree, I wanted to bring this up because I think I might have mentioned this to Kyle. Pete Rose. He did gamble, but he did gamble for his team to win, not to tank.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you feel about that? Now, for players or coaches that gamble, because I mean we all know there is gambling going on still to this day.
Yep.
But what about gambling for your team to win? Like,
betting on yourself.
You're betting on yourself. Now I know gambling's gambling, but now do you hold that as I'm going to lose, or I
don't have a big issue if somebody's betting on them to win because you can't throw a win. You know.
Yeah, you can't.
You're betting on yourself. Yeah, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble doing that, but I don't find that to be as an egregious thing as like a boxer betting on himself to lose and throwing the match, or a baseball player betting on himself to lose, being like a pitcher and going out there and just
throwing right down the middle.
Yeah, just throwing the game, throwing outside the strike zone.
So do you feel? Maybe we'll wait till Marty gets here, but. Do you feel that Pete Rose should be reinstated in the Hall of Fame? I mean,
he's an ass.
He is. Do you think if he admitted, like, yo, I effed up, I gambled, then I think he should have been in, right? Because I think he played that, I'm innocent for freaking 30 years.
I think that I would be all right with Pete Rose being reinstated and being allowed to go into the Hall of Fame. And here's the other thing: even if he was reinstated and allowed to go into the Hall of Fame, I don't think that he'd get voted in because the writers have such a hard on about him.
Yeah,
it's because baseball's so dumb.
There is a lot of stuffiness to the Hall of Fame,
which is why the game's dying because they're so set in like the. Ooh.
So yeah. I have two of them. One that ended up being good for the sport and one that ended up being bad for the sport. So I'll start with football, soccer. In 2006, Serie A, which is the top league in Italy.
Okay.
So you've got like Juventus, you've got Milan, you've got Inter Milan.
Aren't they in a civil war right now?
Probably.
That's Syria. My bad.
That wouldn't shock me anyway. The Milans don't like each other.
That's what I thought he said.
So what we've got is in 2006, they found out that there was 5 teams and they were all meeting up with Italian officials that were going to. It was nicknamed Calciopoli, which could be translated as Footballville, Footballgate, supposed to be like analogous to the Watergate scandal that happened, or Bribesgate. What happened was that these teams, their higher-ups were calling the referees before the game and asking them to rig games in a certain way to ensure that they would get certain results. And obviously all of it was orchestrated, never officially, but most people probably accept that it was mafia run. what happened was that it all came out, they all got found out, and 5 teams got punished pretty badly. And it wasn't just like mid-table teams that got punished for it, and it was good because it really opened up the conversation about betting in football, especially in Europe, and it led to a lot tighter stuff in terms of like betting on yourself to win and stuff. Was like, we had Regina, who are a much smaller Italian side. They got $100,000 fine, €100,000 fine, and their president was fined 30 grand and banned from football for 2.5 years. The next 4 are all like giants. Lazio were kicked out of any European competition for 2006-2007 and were forced to play 2 home games behind closed doors, which is like a loss of like
revenue.
Millions. Fiorentina, who are still one of the top 5 Italian
Them
sides.
playing behind closed doors is the equivalent of us putting this podcast out.
Yes, yeah. They got the same thing. They were kicked out of Europe and then had 2 games behind closed doors. And then
this is a punishment?
Yeah.
This is, yeah.
We're the only ones that listen back. And Nasta's dad.
Yeah, my dad listens.
Who was his favorite? Sorry, go, Josh.
AC Milan. AC Milan were the biggest team in one of the biggest teams in Europe at the time.
Still on, right?
They'd been into the Champions League final. They're still a big team, but they were
This hurt him.
they were kind of like the biggest team. They were Champions League finalists. They had like an all-star 11. Their original punishment was that they were going to be deducted 15 points for the next season, and they were going to start the season on -15 essentially and have to make their way up. Their final punishment, after finding out just how deep the ties went, especially to the whole mafia shit, was 1 home game behind closed doors, which is like a couple of odd million lost, and they were deducted 30 points instead.
Goodness.
Which took them out of the running for all of Europe, took them out all the prize money, and they were like left in the middle of the
why
table.
would they want to play? You know, that stinks.
Well, then their players, they're not going to want to play. They're going to leave. They're going to get
And that's
out.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And if you think that was bad, Juventus, who were also one of the biggest teams at the time, their original punishment was to be deducted 30 points as well. But they were seen as the biggest instigator and also the biggest one to make an example of. They were stripped of their title, and any money that went to it for 2005, anything they got from that, gone. They were downgraded to last place in the 2005-2006 season, and the title and money stripped and given to Inter Milan as the winner. And they were then relegated to Serie B and were put bottom of that league.
That's fucking...
And they had to build themselves back up from the league below that.
Which they have.
Which they
You
have,
said this happened
obviously.
in the odds? This is in
Mid
07?
2000s, yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
They lost a lot of their best players, obviously, and they're only just now really becoming relevant again in Europe. Like, it ruined them for 10 years, and it was a huge thing in Europe for, like, the implications of all of it. Like, you had 2 or 3 massive European giants made into absolute nothing, and it was just a thing of, like, man, probably not the same mistake to do twice.
Do you think, Nasta, could you do what you think that phone conversation sounded like, where they were talking to the referee and telling them to throw a game in favor of Juventus in a very... You're Italian, aren't you?
Yeah, but
Get
Oh
up
my
with your
goodness.
roots.
Your dad's going to hear this
yeah, he's not gonna be happy after this one.
because you can't represent...
No.
You know what? Here, Josh, you do it. I'm sure it's
Go
not
ahead,
going to be
Josh.
offensive at all.
Josh knows how to, I guess,
No.
determine how the conversations went.
Yeah, Kyle, all right.
Me,
Your best Italian
you
accent.
guys know you guys know
I'm not going to sit
soccer.
here and talk like Mario.
Is that what every Italian sounds like to you?
Yeah, at least this one.
You know what? I wouldn't go back and listen to the catalog earlier. Kyle said some really, really borderline, like, just racist stuff about Native Americans. So Italians are next, I guess.
That's
Man, I just...
It's just,
It's a pretty severe scam.
it's a... Would you like to...
Hey, why don't you throw this game? Why don't you throw this game and I'll give you a couple Strombolis and some
calzones.
Some calzones.
Do they eat calzones in Italy?
Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
why
I
not?
I bet they
Okay.
did think it's...
I might give
no.
you some grated
probably
cheese and some red wine.
Some grated cheese in there.
Grated cheese. Get
I
some
don't
cheese
know.
for the corner.
Listen, there's a lot. Okay,
Big
so
baggie of grated
we all know about cheating, basketball, college basketball. A lot of these big schools now, they get like promoted by different brands like Nike. Who's the Nike school? Who's the Adidas school?
Syracuse, Oregon.
Duke. Duke. I want to know, is that considered...
Well,
they're gambling with merchandise instead of gambling with money,
Well, it's fixing the outcomes as far as like with the Adidas scandal that just happened, where
Because I went hush hush quick with Duke and shit.
well, Duke's not Adidas.
Oh, that's right. It was Louisville.
It was Louisville. It was.
And I think Rick Pitino, real quick, got the friggin' boot on that one. What do you think about Rick Pitino getting the shaft?
I mean, he needed to.
He needed to.
There's a lot going on, but it's fixing it in that they're getting. They're using the money from their brands from their sponsorships to go out and woo recruits, bring them in, give them kickbacks underneath the table. A lot of Cam Newton.
Did you realize how
Cam Newton
that thing got busted though? Like,
Was it
Adidas was given. Adidas was given the money, and so your fifth bench coach would go off, but these guys that were grad assistants and the fifth or sixth coach on a college basketball team were getting $10,000 to go give it to a player, and so they go give the player $4,000 and then pocket $6,000.
That's right.
And so they basically ended up pocketing their own money.
These coaches are making $27,500 a year.
Yeah, and not getting, and they're having to live probably near campus where it's going to be fucking high rent and everything else at all these different places. So they're fucking pocket it, doing their own thing, and ended up being their biggest downfall because they're just well, why are we signing these players? And because the $15,000 you threw at the best player in this district, he got $3,000 of it, said no, and then the $12,000 just helped put a down payment on a new Chevy Tahoe for Coach James down there on the bench.
Hey, do you ever think that the Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas, because the odds were major was a 40-1? Do you think that it was more of a... Because we have to think at that time Vegas was still ran a little bit still by the mafia. So do you think that they said, hey, you need to throw this fight because the money that's been put on this?
Well, a more recent example for me would be Mayweather and McGregor.
Yeah.
There's no way that fight should have lasted that long. And if they were actually trying,
absolutely, Mayweather dragged that.
That's what I was thinking.
For money, right? For the show.
So do you think that was good though? In that?
No, it was awful because it did two things. It minimized boxing, saying this fucking UFC fighter who
can last 9 rounds. Or whatever.
Yes.
Minimized Mayweather in general.
And he didn't give a fuck because he can't even read.
Yeah, he's just getting money.
He's just getting paid.
But he just damaged the sport, and UFC probably benefited from it because it maybe legitimized him a little bit. But who in the world doesn't need UFC to be more legitimate in anything?
I think boxing is a fucking great one because that's what I've got here. And the thing is,
I love boxing. I just wish it was still in his glory days.
They definitely hurt themselves with that fight, right? But boxing is hurting itself every time it has a fight because I didn't realize how it worked until there was a fight that happened maybe even 2 years ago now. His name's Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Big boxer. He's just made a stupid deal with DAZN.
Yeah.
He has made
DAZN. I don't know how to say it.
No, neither do I. But he made an outrageous deal with them after winning this fight that he had just won against Gennady Golovkin, also known as Triple G. And he was quite commonly known as an absolute Iron Man.
And it was a prequel to Vin Diesel's movie, wasn't it?
Yes.
Triple X.
Yeah, I think it was. Everybody had it down.
He made a deal with DAZN. I thought he was talking about the fucking
hotel.
That's
meanwhile, Tyson Fury would be the La Quinta then.
So they had this first fight, and Triple G was the favorite, and I don't think anybody can have any kind of thought on whether he won or not. Triple G beat Canelo around the ring for 12 rounds and won the fight. The judges did not agree,
That's right.
And they gave it as a draw, which was absolutely wild, and it did nothing but hurt boxing because it was the biggest fight that had been really since Mayweather and Pacquiao
Which was already damaged from the get-go.
Which damaged again, right? So they damaged it big time because everybody thought it was bullshit. They had a fight again, maybe a year later, after Canelo got suspended for drugs. Right. He then wins on the scorecards when nobody had him as a winner. And then boxing is already hurting big time, so you think, okay, let's bring it back with the heavyweights, and we have Fury face Wilder 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder, biggest American boxer since, in terms of heavyweights, probably Tyson.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got a right hand of fucking. He's a bomb. He's called the Bronze Bomber. He hits you once, you're sleeping, right? And he hit Tyson in the 12th, and he slept for a while. And the idea was that if it went the full 12, Tyson Fury was going to win the fight on points comfortably because he's such a light years ahead as a boxer.
Sure.
And he did. He went the full 12 rounds, and Fury got knocked down twice, but he boxed rings around Wilder. Like, he made him look stupid for 10 of the 12 rounds. And for me, when I was scoring him too, and I had him at 9 rounds to 3, I think, at the end, and they gave it as a draw. And
you know what? I remember on ESPN was talking about. I didn't watch the highlights, but I remember it came up because it wasn't.
And Marty, as a neutral, is sat there saying it's the biggest fuck off too. It was there just to get a draw to do a rematch, and they actually did an article shortly afterwards showing the problems in boxing.
Horrible.
And the problem is the judges.
It's
the host, the person known as the home fighter. In this case, Wilder. Yeah. In the other case, Canelo twice, because they all came to the US. They won't fight outside the US. They were like, you fight me here, or I'm not fighting anyone. Gennady Golovkin wanted him to come to Ukraine, he wanted him to come to England, he didn't care, he wanted him to come somewhere else, Canelo wouldn't. Same goes for Wilder. Fury was like, fine, I'll fight you in the US. The host fighter and his team are in charge of recruiting the judges.
Oh, Jesus.
That's
like picking at your own jury.
Yeah.
Yes. That isn't the most...
Boxing...
You wine and dine them, you literally chat them up, you seduce them to be your judge, and then you wonder why you get sketchy scores, and you wonder why a lot of fighters, Anthony Joshua is one of them, saying that he won't come and fight in the US. He can sell out 90,000 at Wembley and make a shit ton of money and knock you out in England. Why am I going to come to the US and risk losing on points when I should never have got beat?
Yeah, home field advantage in boxing.
I think out of all sports...
When I found out that, home field advantage isn't just home field advantage, you're literally rigging the sport. Yeah. And in this case, it's bad for the sport.
I think when it comes to...
Josh. Oh, the third judge is his cousin.
And Josh, what you're saying, I think is right. Out of all sports, even though baseball, minus the Pete Rose, we had the steroid issue, but if you want to consider that cheating, but I think boxing, out of all sports, is the biggest. And remember... In the Olympics, was it Roy Jones Jr. that got shafted hard, or was it maybe he clearly won that fight? It was in the Olympics. I think it was Roy Jones Jr. that was for the gold, and I think they were playing the fight in Seoul. Might have to pull it up. I think it was Roy Jones, and he got denied. It was the biggest controversy ever. Yeah, it was the Olympics.
Parks v. Hoon.
Yeah. It was the biggest. Yeah, Roy Jones cheated out of gold. It was one of the biggest stories, and I think. Cheating in boxing because it's the judges.
And it's so easy to do, too.
It's the judges, yeah.
I think it also happened in figure skating. Because it's that's another...
Yeah, that too. I remember a couple years back, they pressed charges against the judges when, the French skaters did not get it or something?
Oh, I think that the Canadians...
Or the Canadian
team, they were...
that's something.
The duo, they were killing it out there.
Killing it, and
they got third place. They got the bronze.
And people were going crazy. I think the judges got major in trouble, arrested or something.
My sister used to competitively skate.
Yeah.
And there were judges that just didn't like her, and so they would score. Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't blame them, but no,
does Tony listen?
Yeah, probably.
Need to get him on this.
Yeah. But yeah, so there'd be judges that they had favorites. They had favorites that maybe they were from their area. Maybe the moms would go out and kind of schmooze a little bit too. And the coaches would go out and schmooze. Anything that has a judge in it. There's a chance for it to get real mucked up
Well, it's not. Well, I mean, it's just there's not an impartial governing board, right? Like, and I think that probably exists in any sport. Same thing with like
NBA. We had the referee that was
JD was.
Was it the bald-headed guy?
No, it's the guy that came out and even wrote.
Oh yeah, that's right. He went to jail.
It was because of the Lakers-Kings series.
Yes.
Back in the early 2000s.
I remember when we had Chris Webber and White Chocolate and all them.
Yeah.
White Chocolate. No, he was good. Jason Williams was. Jason. Yeah, Tim. Yes, he was.
So what happened
Jack
is
Donkey.
he
Close enough.
the Kings had jumped out to a lead in the series in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers.
That was a good Kings team, man.
The Kings were on the cusp of getting to the finals. Well,
Kings are in Sacramento, a very small market.
Right.
Lakers, Los Angeles.
And the Los Angeles team, real quick, had Shaq, Kobe
Bryant.
Yeah, they had Fox, they had a team, they had a squad too.
They didn't have Jason Bibby.
Mike Bibby?
Mike Bibby. Jason Bibby. What the?
No, I had Jason Williams. That's why. Go ahead. I like this story.
Jason's all of them. Jason's Stack.
So basically, what happened was, Kings are about to win the series. All of a sudden, they started calling a ton of fouls on the Kings, sending the Lakers to the foul line, and the Lakers won like the last 2 games and made it to the finals. And he came out in his book and even said that they were fixing the game.
Yeah,
big time fixing.
Yeah.
So that destroys the sport. So I think that honestly, we can unequivocally say
I
that.
wonder if he was there for the fucking Heat Mavericks in 07. Fucking dirty cunt.
I mean, look at the FIFA thing too. The FIFA scandal.
Oh,
that just
with
happened with
the blotter?
Cutter? With Cutter?
Yeah.
Cutter?
Qatar? I don't know how you pronounce it.
But that was bullshit too.
That's a big one too, because they found out that there'd been, I mean, it's something that people have been suspecting them of for years, but they've been taking backhanders and bribes to give Russia and Qatar the 2 World Cups. And Russia ended up being pretty good. In all fairness to them, they did a great job, but the Qatar one itself is just going to be...
It's going to be,
no one's going to take it. It's going to be a mockery. Like,
the fact that they had to do it in the winter, so they're going to be in the middle of their seasons.
Right.
Which is going to destroy some people in the season.
Not just that, but like, how can you try and get people who aren't into football when you know that the people running the joint have quite literally taken blood money because fucking slaves are building those stadiums?
Yeah,
major. Yeah, remember?
Like, that's
news reports.
It's just so gross.
Stadiums that are going to get built and then completely left to rot afterwards.
Yep.
Because nobody's going to
10 years from now, you'll be part of that. The Olympic venues now, and FIFA World Games stadiums now. It's no.
Well, and I feel like on any world sport, like Olympics and FIFA, it's going to be harder because everyone's going to have the place they're born in as a bias. Where, like, I think at least, let's say the rules committee for the English Premier League or the rules committee for the NFL, you can maybe find some less bias in structuring how it works. So, like, there's no getting rid of any of it, right? Of, like, corruption. It's going to always happen.
Right.
Because it's
It
human nature, right? Yeah. Life finds a way, so does corruption. Like, it's just inevitable in anything. But, like...
Very happy about that. Thank you.
I didn't know what you were doing for a second. Honestly, my ears are so shot from this bug. Maybe, I don't know, to find an independent board the same way that drug testing is supposed to be, right? Like, the reason UFC gets popped is because I think they're actually using
a third party.
Yeah.
But you still got to find... With the internet, everything's more accessible, so everyone's going to be into more shit. So, like, how do you find the person to, like, drug test the NFL and not have any interest in the NFL and want to do that job still? Mm-hmm. Unless they're just like, oh, a medical professional who likes to do chemical stuff. I don't know. They like to mix piss with shit and see if it turns blue or not.
So I think at the end of the day, with this, like, the only pro I can ever see out of it is that it gives you that baddie to hate. You know, that team, that team or that person that you're constantly rooting against. Like with the Patriots, the whole, they always get every call up in Foxborough, and everybody just fucking fucking hate
Or the
them.
top 6
The
refs in the Premier
the
League.
top
Yep.
6 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Or any NBA ref in like your top 20 stars.
Yeah.
You get every call.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the only positive I can see out of it. The cons just completely outweigh the pros.
It's a scapegoat. You think the cons outweigh the pros?
Oh, massive.
Oh, yeah.
I think the cons range from like putting you off a sport to altogether killing one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends.
Delegitimizing sports.
Yeah, I guess it
look
depends.
at the fall of boxing compared to UFC. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, like, part of that was UFC doing the great marketing and getting a good push, but it got a push on the back of people being sick of boxing's politics and rigging.
So do you
Undoubtedly.
think that there will be more down the middle refereeing in the Alliance of American Football because there's no history built into any of those teams? Like starting fresh might be the best.
I think to
Maybe.
start with, yeah, because
The
you've
best
got less money on it, you've got less
Eyes in general.
less eyes, less money, and less investment emotionally.
Unless you've got guys that are coming to officiate that have a soft spot for certain players that are
Yeah, hopefully you're not
That
going
could be
through
it.
like hopefully you're not getting like the refs from the San Diego flag football league to show up and be the
games,
fleet.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Hey, I got a question. You guys maybe will help me with this. AAFL? What is it?
AAF.
And XFL. What is the difference between the talent pool of the two? Are they still pulling from college?
That's what's undetermined because the AAF has their roster set for their
Who
season
starts
starting in February.
And then when does the XFL start? Is it next year?
Next
I think it's gonna be
year.
And when do they
2020.
start? In the same
It's going to be
February?
in the same. It's going to be in the same time.
And their salaries, their money is a lot bigger than
Yeah,
the AAF too.
significantly.
So you get paid $100K to play for the fleet, like you're gonna get paid $300 to play for someone. in
Or a
the
mil.
XFL.
I mean, if you're a top pick, a few million probably.
Yeah.
But and there's always going to be pool, like a talent pools. Canada's going to have something to pull from. There's always going to be college players that aren't going to make it in the NFL.
Just
This
on
is
that
the standard of play.
verge of making it.
And if any
They're
of them
really,
are,
really good college players that just didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
and you know what's kind of funny is either one of those leagues would be really, really, really smart to try to get a byline into Mexico and Japan because high school and college American football is blowing up in both of those countries, and it would immediately add huge markets, Mexico and Japan.
Well, they could do the same for Europe. Take those
Yeah.
rugby players that want to try.
Well,
For sure.
Now,
You know
why
what I mean?
not?
Like rugby's big enough over there. France, England, that lot. Like
You-
they would.
you guys are definitely big on WWE. You
Yeah.
three, right? You real quick, and I'm about to wrap up. Each one of you, what do you think is going to be at the end of the day have more success? AFF? What was it? AF?
AAF.
AAF.
God damn it, you remember
I know,
your-
I got my teams. AAF.
Do you remember your team?
I'm thinking about AAA.
Who's your favorite team?
But AAF. Who's my favorite team?
Yeah.
It's the Atlanta something. Wait.
No, that's what you hate.
Oh my god, that's who you hate.
Yeah, I'll tell you right
You
now.
hate the legends. You love
Oh,
the...
I got the hot shots. That's
Yeah,
what I
there you
love.
go.
And I
Nasta's
hate the
taking it
legends. I know my shit.
I'm going to start putting it on.
But yo, but
No.
AAF or the XFL? What do you think? And then, let's say 5 years from now, who will still be standing?
AAF.
I think the AAF
Better TV deal.
I think they can coexist together.
Do you think like how the NFL merged back in the 60s? Do you think one day they might say, fuck, let's just merge them?
I think the
Oh, the
AAF.
AAF and the XFL.
Yes.
I'd love for
There's a
some
relationship
that was-
between Vince McMahon and
the guy,
so-
yeah, because-
So you think we'll
That
have a
biggest
national and like you'll make it just one big...
The biggest problem is going to be that the XFL is going to own all 8 teams, and the AAF there's 8 individual owners.
I think the other
So
problem
the owner
is
structure is going to be the difficult part of the merger.
the other problem is the AAF want a working relationship with the NFL. They want to essentially become like feeder teams in the future, whereas the
Kind of like how
XFL,
Josh Johnson is being allowed to
Which is really
play.
smart.
whereas
Like
it's
how
smart,
how hockey
right?
has
But-
minor league, baseball has minor league, and basketball now has the G League.
But
Football
that puts
don't
me
really,
off
they don't have any of
altogether.
that.
Yeah.
The idea of a minor league just doesn't attract me at all. Like the reason I'm attracted to this is because it's something different. If you just become a minor league, to me the stakes
No,
are
but
dead.
you know what I'm saying,
Just,
yeah.
just for me.
But like it's
Like,
no, I
it's
mean,
just a
it's-
personal preference.
Well,
but-
I mean, I think it's going to be. I like it for 2 reasons. I love college football. And then I love that I'll be able to watch guys that I like in college football that otherwise wouldn't get a fair shake, and that actually have a chance to play themselves in, and it's not just them in t-shirt and shorts at the combine.
Right.
That they can do something undeniable, play 10 games, and maybe 2 years in a row, just fucking sweep the AAF and be like, cool, this 5'10" quarterback, maybe we should give him a shot.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that part. I think that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
Issue number 7 in the books. We're going to go away for Christmas. We'll be back. What's the schedule look like? Is it going to be January when we record again?
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Is it really?
It's Christmas week next week.
Yeah, Christmas next week.
Shit.
So
So yeah,
even if
we'll
we
record
follow the
again
usual
January
schedule,
2nd, and we'll talk about our New Year's resolutions.
Probably not 2nd. I'm not in work. It's my birthday.
Your birthday's the 2nd.
Mhm.
All right, so everybody wish Josh a happy birthday on Twitter. His handle's going to be in the description.
Too many numbers in it for us to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't want to, it's awkward to read it. Follow us at Sports Trebuchet on Twitter, or email us at sportstrebuchetpod@gmail.com. Any show ideas, talking points, something, feedback, tell Kyle he's shit, whatever you want to do. Just let us know,
Bring it on.
and have a great holiday season.
Have a great one.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas, Steve.
Happy holidays.
Broken ankles, doofus.
Yeet.
Yep. All right.